Hi folks, it's Vic Bangia with Verum Consulting, coming to you from self-isolation. And during this time I decided to convert certain chapters of my book, Quaere Verum, which by the way means seek the truth in Latin. I decided to convert certain chapters of that book into these little video vignettes. And by the way, my book is also available in PDF form from my website. But today's chapter is called Mary Poppins Management, and I hope you enjoy it. In the early 2000s, I used to work for a .com that practiced a Mary Poppins style of management. That is, their leadership believed that the company was practically perfect in every way. And at the end, the velocity with which that company came hurtling to earth was astounding. There's no safety in hubris, with or without a magical umbrella. Now, I'm all for being proud of your team, your product, and your purpose. Just don't let it get in the way of your potential. Another time I was working for a West Coast company that asked me to help improve the way they work by investigating their internal corporate real estate processes and procedures. And I did so by compiling a report which outlined that 80% of what they did internally was spot on. In fact, enviable. The other 20% could use just a little tweaking, and whatever tweaking they did would work wonders. And instead of the pat on the back that I was expecting, they browbeat me for insinuating that they were less than perfect. Such is the life of a corporate real estate consultant. You have to learn to be thick-skinned. It's indeed a balancing act to work with a client to help them improve the way they work, especially if they're sensitive about how they're perceived by their senior leadership. Interestingly, on the one hand, they desperately need help or they're apt to be fired. And on the other hand, they're apt to be fired because they desperately need help. In my industry presentations, I usually speak in praise of dysfunction because it's the reason I exist. It's the reason my company exists. I speak in praise of dysfunction because I'm a positive person, and what I've been able to do for clients is to help them improve their business performance. Dysfunction has its purpose. It keeps you wanting to improve because perfect people are frozen in mediocrity while imperfect people have room to grow. So the question for today is, are you practicing a Mary Poppins style of management in your corporate real estate organization? Here's how you'll know. 1. Your service provider turns out to be a glorified temp agency. Take a step back and consider whether outsourcing was simply an effort to reduce headcount by replacing your staff with service provider staff. If the result of hiring a service provider was just swapping people with a different payroll source, then the service provider is at best a temp agency. Unless you were absolutely unwilling to train, groom, or promote your people into key positions, then your efforts to outsource are not going to pay off. You'd have been better off growing your own expertise. And if without reason, your service provider has begun replacing its team on your account with other people, then they're probably using your account as a training ground for their own people. 2. Your purpose for bringing in the service provider was actually just to set the kids straight. Let's say it's been a couple of years since you gave your business to your current service provider. And let's assume that the service provider has co-located with your team. Is there still a line between where your team ends and the service provider team begins? Is there a palpable difference between the culture of the two organizations? If so, you may not have transitioned the account properly, and there may still be lingering fear and animosity for the whole outsourcing initiative. Perhaps the sentiment from your team is that the outsourcing was punishment, whether or not you intended it for it to be that way. From my earlier example, and be honest, if you or your team have browbeaten the service provider for being too smart or too aggressive or too innovative, then I suspect your staff is just waiting for the other shoe to drop for an opportunity to sabotage the service provider and make them into scapegoats. 3. Your service provider just isn't improving your business performance. Now, unless you're indeed practically perfect in every way, your service provider should be able to unlock value in your corporate real estate portfolio. They should be able to align your business and your real estate and allow your firms to do the things that they want to do, whether that's grow, shrink, redefine itself, or, if you have to, hurtle to earth like a .com wannabe. The point is, any improvement in business performance should be real, it should be measurable, and it should be predictable. And if it's coming from a real estate service provider, it should be guaranteed. Is it? Thank you for watching Mary Poppins Management, the first installment in a series of chapters from my book, Quaere Verum. If you'd like a copy of Quaere Verum, you can download it for free at my website in PDF form. Otherwise, stay tuned for more video vignettes of different chapters from that book. Thanks, and have a great day.